Hello, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Good. It may just be the two of us, or it could be regular realtors being late like they always are.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
you never know. Which market center are you in?
Chattahoochee North.
Oh, you
I
are.
just got my license actually like a couple weeks ago, so I'm
Excellent.
brand new. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, sometimes on here we'll have 20 people, and other times we'll have two. So
Okay.
you
Yeah, I
just
saw
you
the
just
email, so I was like, oh, okay. I'm
yeah,
available, so I thought I'd drop in.
you, yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I'm going to have to end today like at about 40 minutes after because I have to go. I stupidly set up an appointment to go show Office Space at 2 o'clock, and it's up in Johns Creek. So
Oh,
but
okay.
we
Yeah,
can get it
that's
all
where I
covered. Trust me,
live.
but yeah, by about 40 minutes after you'll be sick of me anyhow. So
No problem.
um that won't be a problem. Sandy can attest to that for sure. So
So do you do commercial real estate or
I do both. My group, we do both residential and commercial.
okay.
It's
Yeah,
about a
I
50.
live in Johns Creek. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a building on Johns Creek Court, which is off Johns Creek Parkway, just over on the north side of McGinnis Ferry. So
Okay.
that we helped purchase it last year, and we've been trying to lease out about 25,000 square feet of
Mhm.
space on the on one part of the building. So.
Is it
And
medical or
it can be
mixed?
medical.
Uh-huh.
It right now what's in there is a the owners of the building is a semiconductor company out of Shanghai, and they bought the building knowing that eventually they'll have to expand. And so they're in about 35,000 square feet. So I've got about 25,000 square feet open for
Oh,
lease up
wow.
there.
Yeah, that's
So
a good location. And Emory,
yeah,
Johns
yeah,
Creek is right next door.
it's just the office market, overall in Atlanta is if any of these
Hmm.
segments of commercial is the weakest right now. I mean, I can sell the devil. I can't find. I've got like two. I've got one client looking for warehouse space in Dallas, Austell, that area of Atlanta. Can't find anything. I've got somebody needing 15,000 square feet of office space to buy in Johns Creek. Nothing like that exists. There's only one office building for sale in Johns Creek right now.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah,
and
it's a
that's
good
it.
location. It's desirable. And I heard the office in Johns Creek is better than like downtown Atlanta because people are working from home. So I don't know. It seems like
Yeah,
the suburbs.
it's still good. It's just that, we're still in that cycle of, are people going to work at home? Or are they starting to be called back in? Such as that. It's very interesting. People say, "Oh, I'm more productive when I'm at home." Yet my partner who manages 15 people discovered where they're supposed to be on about 9 client calls a week through a software program. They've only been on 3 client calls a week since the
Hmm.
first of the year, and that's with them working at home.
Yeah, they
You
say
know,
they're more productive, but what do the numbers show?
yeah, I
They
just,
all
I
like
just,
it because yeah, all my friends and people I know do never want to go back deal. But yeah, well, it's interesting to see what will happen.
yeah, it really is. I just don't know what's going to occur as it goes out, especially as Google and Facebook and Cisco and people of that sort, start pulling people back into the offices where there appears to be is this hybrid of, okay, we need you in the office at least 3 days a week. That seems to be the middle, but the office concept is changing from where, let's say, like at Pat North here, we have a bunch of individual offices. My assistant's husband is executive with Invesco, and they just moved into their new building in Midtown. And he basically was told, "Is like, okay, if you want your corner office again, you have to come in every day of the week, and or you get one of the open floor plan cubicles." And he's like, "I'm fine with that if it means I don't have to come in 2 days a week."
Hmm.
So, and my former wife, I mean, she's the same way. She's with Bank of America, an executive, and they moved from Midtown up to Buckhead, and she had her own office for 20 some odd years. And in this new space, they're only making them come in 2 to 3 days a week, but she lost her office. And it's sort of like you come in and you land wherever there's an open space. is how
Mhm.
they are.
Yeah,
So it's a
they're building so many buildings in Midtown and on the Beltline. I'm like, what are they gonna do with all this
they're
space?
determined they're going to fill. There's 350,000 square feet on the corner of Spring Street and 14th Street
Yeah.
that has does not have one tenant in it, one office tenant in it.
Wow.
Yet
That's scary.
there's 250 I know of in four buildings, 250,000 square feet of office space coming online. I live in Midtown on Peachtree Street, so I see it.
Oh, yeah, we
I
have
see
a
it all the
condo at the
time.
Lowe's. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live at
Yeah.
Spire.
Oh, okay. Down the street.
I actually have sold in the Lowe's before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's
To
a lot of units for sale right now. There's like
Are
four
there?
units. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a lot for them. So
Yeah, they're
yeah, I
very
know
expensive. And the maintenance fee is like 2000 a month for the
oh, it's not cheap.
it's crazy.
I
The
I know
taxes are crazy.
I know John and Anita Freeman, who's either on 33 or 34, and I hear about it all the time. So
Yeah, the
I understand.
assessments and yeah, like
Yeah.
we but anyway.
So anyhow, since I got some people on here now, welcome. As a heads up, I'm going to have to dip out of here at 20 till to meet a client, or I'm showing some space to somebody on the commercial side. So what I want to talk to you about is a little bit what I did in at family reunion. I was on a fortunate enough to be asked to be on a panel about agent to agent referrals. And a lot of people don't think about that. One of the things, while I love Chattahoochee North, and Sandy's heard me say this before, um, I love Chat North, and I've been here for 18 years. We're a very insular group inside of it. And we look at our database, which we should, of clients and such. But one of the things to understand about KW is in the United States, we have 100 in North America, let's say, we have 165,000 associates that exist here. In worldwide, we have 185,000. We can refer business to any of them or get referrals to any of them. In fact, we can do referrals with anyone with an active real estate license, even if they're in one of the holding companies to do that. And where there can be good money made is creating a network of people who refer that business. Is normally you pay, you if you refer business out, you get about 25% referral fee on the commission. If you are getting a referral in, you pay 25%. Some people may think that's a bit onerous, but if you start looking at your marketing costs and stuff like that, it's actually a better deal than what that is. And anyone who wants to stop and ask me a question, please do so. Um, the biggest thing is building that network. For myself personally, I've got a network of people from Miami to Naples to Tampa to Mobile to Phoenix to LA, Chicago, Minneapolis, um, Chattanooga, places like that. That when I see things that come up on Facebook and such, and there's supposedly over 150 applicable referral groups on Facebook that exist. When I see something come up for, let's say, a friend of mine in Minneapolis, I will literally screenshot it and send it to him and say, hey, you're up. Same way he'll do the same for me. So you build that network. Yesterday, and albeit it was on the commercial side of the business, I will say someone with another firm outside of KW in Myrtle Beach was looking for a commercial broker in North Atlanta. I've worked it to where I've built up enough of a knowing to where literally 12 people said, hey, this David's who you need to attach to. Um, I'll be honest with you, ironically enough, I saw it on my own and I got the lead. And I've already talked to the client this morning on that. So you never know where business can come from, and it's a good way to expand out of just doing open houses and things of that sort. To give you the power of what it can be is the office building I'm going to in just a bit. That was a referral as I was driving to Bold one day from a residential agent. Ended up being a $6 million sale, and I paid $45,000 in referral fee. to that agent. On the residential side of it, 2 years ago, I'm doing the big dollar ones to make it sound nicer. Is I did one that was $1 million in Woodstock, Cobb County lines, such as that. Sadly, the guy who moved here lost his job and had to move again, and I got to sell the house 7 months later. So it was really $2 million um in sales that came off of referral. A lake house on Lake Lanier came off of it. So there's all different types of things. There's also we just closed last week in Winder on a house that was not the best thing in the world, but I didn't even have it on the market, and I sold it to an investor for $270,000. So you take them sort of as they come. The way that you do it, though, is you start talking to the other agents. You go to networking events. You get to be known as somebody who is reputable and is known to take care of clients. What we do is that when we get not even to get a referral, but get somebody that we've talked to about a referral, and I don't have one here, so I'm just going to grab an example of it is we send out this isn't it, but we send out a thank you note, and we have made with our logo and everything on it wipes, the cloths and everything that we send, because it's easy to put into an envelope. You don't have to pay extra postage to do that. Once again, I don't have original ideas. I stole that from a realtor in Phoenix, Arizona, who I'm friends with. So don't ever come to me for original idea. You will be highly disappointed in my lack of creativity. Um, what questions about this world can I answer for you? Because I'll just keep droning on. Anyone can play. So
So, David, is this like all just based off of your mega camp and family reunion meeting people? Like how how do you like get the people to? I mean, I know you've been in the business for 18 years. Like, how do you get 12 people to say, "Hey, David McEachern's the person"? Like, is this just based off of the fact that you go to these things and meet these people, or is this just reputation? Like, how do you even get
reputation.
started, get the ball rolling?
It's a combination of everything. So to let you know how I got started even doing it, I was literally talking about Mega Camp. I was in line getting coffee one day, and I started talking to this guy. His name's Mark Action, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at Mega Camp in the convention center in Austin. And it just sort of, you start going down the rabbit hole, and you start finding this and that and everything. And it's the same thing. I think my favorite phrase for this year in real estate is that, and some of you are going to be shocked because it's not the word consistency, is the word contact sport. It is not one where if you're not out talking to people and things of that nature, that you can that unless you're doing that, you can get business with that is but I've gotten it from going to local real estate networking events, doing a BNI group, going to Mega Camp, going to Bold, going to family reunion, going to masterminds. There's regional classes that occur, not as much as they used to in the Southeast, but there are classes. Part of the reason why next week I'm doing train the presenter or train the trainer thing, which I've never really been that interested in, but I'm going to meet other agents throughout the Georgia Legacy Group system that's there. One of the things to remember, so the one in Winder I told you about, that was a referral from an agent in Noonan. And it straight out was the reason because she didn't want to go from Noonan all the way up to Winder. So Atlanta itself is so large that you could go and build relationships with people in McDonough, Fayetteville, Peachtree City, Noonan, Stockbridge, to do trade outs there. There are two or three agents that I have relationships there that I've done business with, both in the residential and commercial aspects of it. So I want to make it very clear, the agent to agent referrals that I'm talking about are not just the commercial ones. They're a combination of the two. For myself right now, I have the very unsophisticated Google Drive spreadsheet of what things that I've got going on, and I can tell you that right now 72% of my pipeline is agent to agent referrals that's going through. 53% of what we closed last year, or I closed last year, I can't talk for Cam, but for what I closed last year was agent to agent referrals. And I had my best year where we increased business 35% over our previous best year. And it was 53% over the year prior. So no one's ever going to be able to explain to me or get me to believe that agent to agent referrals are a waste of time when there is business there. One of the things I'm about to do, and you all cannot steal the idea, is I'm joking, is I've reached out to GLG leadership to find out who to talk to in Savannah, the Carolinas, and such as that. And I'm going to go teach in those markets. I'm going to offer to go teach exactly this in those market centers and on agent to agent, and also on the commercial side of it, on how to build that part of the business. I'm going to be able to get to meet probably about 300 agents between those market centers, in doing that. Those are overnight trips. There's worse places in the world to go than Savannah, maybe not Columbia, but Savannah, to go to, or Charlotte, or, Greenville, and get to know more and more people to do that. And the important part of once you start creating that side of it, you guys have been getting for the last few months, around this time of the month, it should be coming out probably tomorrow, an email from me that's like a newsletter. That actually goes out to around 3,000 brokers or 3,000 agents. So I've got it very systematized, as you can tell. It's actually the same program that, when we get the Sunday newsletter out of Chat North, is the same program as what that is. Once again, no creativity here. Rip off and duplicate. But I designed it specifically for commercial and residential realtors in other places outside. Now, for you guys, it's more for the commercial side. I fully admit that. But I do it for everybody in there. And I talk about Atlanta. I talk about what's happening in residential development. If I have a listing that's interesting, a restaurant thing. Actually, someone told me the other day that they went to a restaurant based off that recommendation, which was pretty cool to hear. And this month, we're actually adding video to it. I discovered how to do that. So that way you do keep in touch, in some form with that. Winnie Papason, it was interesting. I was on the panel with her. If you know who she is, she's Jay Papason's wife, and her team does residential and commercial in Austin. She started off by just sending a small email every month saying, hey, was thinking about you. How's the market treating you? Let's say it's at Christmas, says, how do you like to spend your Christmas holidays? Something of that sort. Something as simplistic as that. I learned in going to Bold from Brian Smith at North Fulton, who's an extremely successful realtor. He has an app called Reach, or he doesn't have it. He told me about an app called Reach, where you can send a message. It's a little bit hard because you can write a template of a message. You can say, let's say, hey, Bob, or whoever, so it's individualized. And then you can individualize each one if you want to, or you can have it a little bit formatted, and you literally go through your phone and send it to them. And it takes a minute, because if, let's say, you have 250 people, you have to send it you have to hit 250 times. But unless there's an easier way I don't know of. But what I'll do is I'll say, let's say Thanksgiving, say, hey, happy Thanksgiving to your family. What's your favorite pie? Apple or pecan or pumpkin? And I had about a 35 to 40% response rate. My phone blew up, with people responding back to me. But my list is a combination of clients and other realtors, or it's just someone I know that I just want to do a touch. And people remember that kind of stuff to where you get phone calls and things of that nature. And just because one person, let's say somebody in Dallas, Texas, it's not even so much if that person gives you that, is that you're in their head And I've had people say, hey, Bill Thompson is a broker, is an agent in my office. He's going to call you about a referral, but it's not from Kimberly Davis, who I'm referral partners with in Dallas. They will go out and talk. There's a number of people, I don't know if anyone in this group, but there's multitudes of people in this office who have come to me and said, hey, who do you know where? Even weird places like the Upper Hudson Valley in New York. I happen to know somebody there and I've connected them together. That's how you build your reputation for agent to agent referrals. You know, it is definitively one of those Lego building block exercises where you have to put one on top of another on top of another, but then you start building a pretty damn good, business, coming out of it, so far. I mean, this year I can tell you right now, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I've got 19 agent referrals so far in 2024. In addition to SOI referrals or the building that I live in, and such as that. So I've rambled for another 10 minutes. So someone throw a question at me. Or am I just throwing too many concepts at you guys?
I feel like I'm hogging all the time. Can you spend a couple seconds about your news? So you send a separate newsletter for the agents and one for your clients, like the monthly one, or
Yeah, we know what we're doing is one thing that we're doing is I'm going to give you a heads up on this. If you're paying, because I'm quitting doing this, if you're paying outside for another website, stop doing it. Just use the one that KW has. We've discovered that you can change the pictures and personalize it a bit more, and that's going to be saving us $150 a month. Um, Websites for most agents are just to prove that you're for real and that you have validity. Is not a marketing, it's a marketing tool, is not a functionary tool. So what we do is we send out to our resident or to our retail client database. We send that one out at the beginning of the month. Then we have one that is very specifically, and you'll see in the next 24 to 48 hours, because I send it to you guys, is one that is very specifically designed for realtors, for referrals, such as that. What I try to get across to people is that A, we do both residential and commercial. B, that I know Atlanta better than most. And that, I want when the word Atlanta comes up for somebody that I get front of mind for you to send it to me in doing that. And so there's a combination of agents who I've just met over time. Like I added from Family Reunion, I added 225 names into the database from that, and a combination of people I've met at things like Family Reunion and Mega Camp, and just over time and at events, and then agents who I've done referral deals with. So it's a combination of, let's call it Mets and not Mets. It's a combination of the two that's in there. So have any of y'all done agent to agent referrals so far?
No, I have.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just had a question. I was just wondering, so this referral fee, like how much is it and how do you determine it?
So, well, if it's a residential deal, it's very simplistic. It's straight out whatever is 25% of your commission goes to the referring agent, is what it is. There is a tendency that we're seeing because people are getting greedy to start seeing 30, 40%. Don't fall for it. We work too hard when we're the one in the deal to do it, to be paying that much. I think it's disrespectful of the referring agent to be asking for that much when all they're doing is making 3 phone calls and they're done, as far as that goes. Now, when you're in commercial, it gets way more complicated because it's dependent on whether it's a sale, which is the same as a residential deal, but then when you go into leases, it's a whole other formula that you have to use. It's still 25%, but I don't want to bore you with the detail, the mathematical calculation on how it's done. But at the end of the day, what we do in my group is 25% of whatever commission we're getting. So, Rachel, were you going to ask something?
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to unmute. Yes, do you have a kind of set elevator pitch for agents when you're going to these big functions, or do you by now just kind of you've been doing it so long it changes, or
Yeah, it probably changes to good. I'm a huge proponent of sounding spontaneous, but totally knowing what I'm going to say. Now, there's that, and really you just sort of go in and you introduce yourself and say who you are. What I normally do is I really listen hard for a connecting point to somebody. If I hear them say, for instance, that they're a big SEC fan, I'll connect in through that. If I hear that they like to travel, I'll connect into that. I don't do this like what I did in my younger days, but I used to go hunting a good bit. My dad was a gigantic sportsman. I can easily go into that conversation. So listen to key points to be able to connect into and make yourself relevant to the person that you're talking to. With that, I mean, I've literally had conversations about pheasant hunting in Nebraska, and then with somebody else had a conversation about how their granddaughter and my daughter were in the same dance class in Peachtree Corners. I mean, you can't get further across the spectrum than what that is. But what it does is it makes you real and it makes you relevant. Now, if you're talking about in terms of Facebook and doing that stuff, what I do is, number one, you look at what the instructions are on a post. If they say no calls, no texts, whatever, you don't do it. You're knocking yourself out of play. But if, let's say, they say no calls, no texts, but they don't say anything about DMs, I do a DM. If they don't say anything at all, God help them, because I will call them. If I hit their voicemail, I will text them and I will DM them. And in that, I will say to them that, I'm, with Keller Williams Chattahoochee North in Atlanta. I've been in the business for me, I've been in the business for 18 years. As a KW agent, I'll say, I'm a mastery coaching client. I've been on ALC, whatever you can throw in there to make you sound relevant without sounding arrogant. Let's make that very clear. Because there's a big difference between the two. And just ask them to send return a message back to you in doing that. Now, where I started getting a little bit down on myself, and I was told get over myself, quite honestly, is that in the Atlanta market, because everyone and their brother's a realtor, a lot of people will jump on those things. And I have one too, where when I've been able to put in my credits, whatever you want to call it, they have come back around to me. The good referral ones are not the people who will just take the first person who calls. They'll be the person who actually listens to some of it and say, okay, this is the personality type that talks to that, that I can understand. A lot of times referral agents will try to gather 2 to 3 people and then let their clients decide who they want to talk to, because just as we all know, one personality doesn't always mesh up to another personality. And that's a big thing, is your comfort level in dealing with somebody. So I know you guys are so sick of me saying this, but if you don't take a swing with the bat, you're never going to get a hit. If you don't take a shot into the hoop, you're not going to get, you're not going to get a basket to do that. I think what occurs a great deal of the time with us is that we just think, oh, there's no chance I'm going to get it. You don't know that. I don't know that when I go after stuff. But if you don't go after it, there's no way you're ever going to have a chance to go after it. you know? And you're just I've gotten myself in the mindset of I'm not going to win every single one. As Rachel, you've gotten to know me well enough now. I'm a competitive son of a bitch. I'm gonna want to go after it. I don't like it if I don't get it, but I'm more focused on continuously going after them and not getting upset if I don't get them. I kick myself now more if I don't even try to do that because you just never know what may occur. In doing that. And it's once again, it's getting yourself out there and getting to know other agents and inside of KW. So, um, you know, Anita, I'm assuming from looking at your picture on here that you're Black. That there is a whole infinity group for Black associates of Keller Williams that you can belong to. I belong to the LGBT group. I literally just got off of a weekly call with that group a second ago, and I make sure that I'm on there so they see my face. Dallas is very involved in it also. And I just closed a deal last week that came out of that group. A lot of people don't realize that particular group does over $1 billion in referrals a year. So, it's the largest group in there. But there's a group for the Hispanic sector. There's a group for the Asian sector. I think there's a group for the Jewish sector. There's a group for the Black sector. So there's multiple infinity groups that or DEI groups or whatever you want to call it that exist, which is a great starting ground for any of y'all to be able to start practicing, in those things and creating a database and being able to pull off of them, in terms of doing that. It's just a matter of going after it and being professional and stuff, because as you all well know, this is a very real estate, while there's thousands of us in it, is a very small group of people and they all know each other. And this is where your reputation can come into play on whether or not you're successful in getting that kind of stuff. So, so what other questions can I answer? Well, I'm glad I'm thrilling. Tony's just as scared to talk now. At this point, what are the questions about your business? What's going on with your business? We've got about 6 minutes here. What's going on in your all's business that you're challenged with or frustrated with that maybe an old fart like me has some insight on?
Well, me personally, I have my first meeting with some of my neighbors tomorrow, about investing, and I don't have any experience in that, especially on the side of it where do you know to invest in that you can still buy in at a reasonably price before everybody else moves in. Like, how do you find those places? I know, like, if a big business is coming there, there'll be people that need housing as employees, but other than that, where do you go to look for areas that you can either do flips or get a higher rental rate in that area for the purchase price?
Well, the challenge in Atlanta is that, if you go back to when I was a kid, is that there were areas that were falling apart. The Atlanta has such a dynamic market economy to it that there really aren't areas that are falling apart. They're all either regenerating or they're starting to come back. I can tell you in the Atlanta area is going to be that southwest corner, between 20 down to the airport. I'm still south of, I love how I say this, let's say south of Lakewood. I won't say the Atlanta Penitentiary, but south of Lakewood. um, that's still a really rough area. It just really is not an area that I'd be jumping into. What I would be looking at is, if you're looking from a individual home point of view, is, what are areas that have high rentals, a good rental mixture with residents living into it. One of the things that killed Clayton County about 2 decades ago is when they lost certification in their school system. And at one point, especially during 08 to 10, over half the homes in Clayton County were owned by investors or rentals.
Mm.
That killed the Clayton County housing market. So you need to make sure you have the right balance, that's there.
Of home
Um,
ownership and rentals.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, in doing that. But there's areas still, especially on the west side, that are that can come, they're going to come back more and more. One of the things to understand is that they're saying now by 2050 we'll have 8 million people in the same footprint that we're in right now. Now, they had said at one time that was going to happen by 2030, but things have, we didn't know about a pandemic, occurring and things like that happening. We're still, for investors, they've got to understand is that we're living in a market where we're still adding 50 to 70,000 people to the metro Atlanta area. That's a heck of a lot better than being in Charleston, West Virginia or Huntington, West Virginia, where they're losing population,
Is
in
that per
those
year?
per year, per year. So, we're in a very dynamic market center that's here. So, as far and that goes, that goes for pretty much all of Metro Atlanta area. I mean, I even can say that for Clayton. Clayton's come back way from what it used to be. Henry County, you've got Stockbridge and McDonough. Drive down 75, on a Friday afternoon at 6 o'clock and tell, there's so many cars down that area. So you're just not, are there going to be the hot areas? Yeah. Is Conyers and Douglasville a hot area? No. But they're solid, you know. It's not like you're living in in the pits by any stretch of the imagination, in doing that. The biggest thing with investors is to show to them that you know the market well, that you've got support systems in place. One thing that I've discovered with investors, especially if they're not from Atlanta, is when they ask me, hey, do you know such and such? Do you know this? Do you know that? And it's just from experience, it's rare that I don't know something, but I can always say to them, let me back up and see what I can find out for you. And with 1,900 people being in GLG, it's rare that I can't get an answer to something, or from Ashley or Amy or, something of that nature, doing that. So, okay, last couple of minutes. Anything on anyone's mind before I have to go do my dog and pony show? So, to be honest with you, this is the part I hate, is because this is office retail space. And we talked at the top of the hour about how that's a weaker market. You almost want to fall over yourself to say, sure, we can do that. But it's easy for me to say it when I'm not the one owning the building. So it's a little bit, tougher, as far as that stuff goes. That. Well, I'm here for you guys if you need anything, as Sandy's also on ALC. We'd love the chance to be able to help you. We want to see you succeed, in every step of the way. So don't hesitate about coming to us and asking for advice or whatever it is, or if you need to vent, call Sandy. She's a much better listener than what I am. Me, I'm half German. I have no patience. So with that, but y'all good?
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you.
David.
Thanks,
Okay.
Dave.
All right. I'm going to begin my afternoon of touring and sitting in the world's most boring board of directors meeting for Neymar. So I will see you guys later on. Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, David.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 Bye.